Welcome to the Sygnum crypto market update. My name is Martin Burgherr. I'm the Chief Clients Officer of Sygnum Bank. What we discuss in this call is not considered financial advice. Today, we actually have a number of very interesting topics. And I think particularly in the last few days, we saw a lot of news evolving around regulatory uncertainty, the SEC actually filing complaints against one of the two largest players in the crypto space, Binance and Coinbase. On the other hand, we also see very positive signs from truly institutional clients. BlackRock apparently filed to get approval for a Bitcoin ETF, and this might actually be the start of the institutional adoption of crypto, which we already await since actually quite a few years. Now, in more details on the regulatory side, I think we have a few topics there, but probably the most prominent news was really these complaints that the SEC actually filed against Binance and Coinbase. Now, one part is that the SEC actually files these complaints against these two players. On the other hand, in this complaint, we also saw that the SEC actually considers close to 60 tokens to be securities. Now, the immediate market impact was actually quite limited. So somehow I think we already had indications that there will be action from the SEC against some players, and probably particularly the large one were prone to getting these complaints. But interesting was really that the SEC considers close to 60 tokens to be securities. Now, what we saw then after 2-3 days on the weekend following the issuance of these complaints, that actually many of these tokens, which were presumably considered as securities, significantly decreased in price. And we talk about a decline of 20 to 30%. So why is it actually so important whether a token is considered a security or not? I think there are, of course, many aspects for that, but I think there are two key aspects which cause a lot of worry in the industry. On the one hand, it's very relevant for the exchanges, because the exchanges, unless they hold a banking license or a securities dealer license, they are not allowed to offer securities. So if a token is considered a security and you offer it as an exchange without the necessary licenses, it's actually a breach of financial market law, which is, of course, quite a severe breach, and then also may have consequences on this particular exchange. So I think that's one thing. So we see that typically, if there are rumors that a certain token is considered a security, we see a delisting. This leads to less liquidity in a particular token, and this then also leads to negative price momentum typically. On the other hand, it's also relevant from a token perspective, because if the token is considered security, the initial sale of the token might also be considered a sale of security. If you didn't obtain the necessary approvals to actually publicly offer these securities, this then actually might be a breach of the issuer of this token, which is sometimes the foundation or a development company behind this protocol. And this then basically impairs a bit the credibility of these tokens as such. So I think these are the two main factors which markets actually consider, and that's then also why it is such an important question whether a particular token is considered a security or not. Now, in this regard, there is actually a very prominent case, and that's the case SEC versus Ripple, where the allegations that Ripple is a security were already brought up by the SEC a few years ago. Now, important to understand is what happened in this Binance complaint and in the Coinbase complaint is it's not that a court decided that these tokens are a security, but it's just an allegation that these tokens might be a security. Now, this is why the case of SEC versus Ripple is so important, because there we actually expect that a court will decide whether the arguments brought up by the SEC are actually valid arguments, and then we will have a first very tangible data point why and whether a court considers a cryptocurrency a security or not. This can really be groundbreaking, because what we also expect in this ruling of the court is actually that there need to be certain factors, certain KPIs, which ultimately decide whether a token is considered a security or not. And that's actually the big uncertainty in the space, that we understand from the SEC that they consider many features of cryptocurrencies to be securities, but there is no tangible checklist what actually qualifies as a security. And on the other hand, we see that certain law firms or other people in the space, they actually think that because of certain features, they are not considered security. And now with this court decision, which is anticipated actually still this summer. Initially, I think it was expected to be in March, but now we expect that it will be issued this summer. There we should have tangible points which actually say, because of X, Y, Z, it is a security or it is not a security. And this can really, I think, in case of a positive decision for Ripple, this could lead to significant price momentum in the space. Now, I think a lot of uncertainty with these regulators, especially in the US, going against these players. On the other hand, we also see from a regulatory perspective actually that Asia is opening up. So we saw that in Singapore and in Hong Kong, that there was actually quite a bit of risk, or not a lot of risk taking from the regulators to actually enable crypto projects. Now we see Hong Kong is opening up. Crypto companies are welcome. Banks are actually asked to open bank accounts for crypto companies. So while we see a tightening in the US, we actually see an opening up in Asia. And this is from a geopolitical point of view also very interesting how this will evolve. Now, the big good news is actually that BlackRock apparently filed to launch a Bitcoin ETF. And I mean, this is really very positive news, given that BlackRock is one of the largest and probably most influential institutional players in the space. Now, this also did not immediately lead to a significant price movement, but I think now the positive momentum that we observe over the last few days is actually fueled by this news. Interestingly enough, we actually see that the correlation between equities and cryptocurrency now decreased in the last couple of days, because we saw actually that equities were rather declining in prices, whereas we saw increasing prices on the cryptocurrency side. I think if we were to see that an ETF, or a Bitcoin ETF of BlackRock gets approved, this would really fuel the institutional adoption by probably a magnitude which we all underestimate. So on this one, I'm very, very positive, and I think that's something to watch out. I think if we see that this moves into a positive direction, that could really then also fuel another market rally. With this, we are actually already at the end of this crypto market update. If you're interested in what we published, then check our website and our socials. In particularly, I would like to highlight the crypto valuation report, which we published earlier this week. You find it also on the social media channels of Sygnum. With this, I thank you very much for the participation and wish you a great rest of the day.